All right. Good day, everyone. Welcome to this PIMvendors.com webinar together with Perfion. And today we'll be discussing how to manage digital assets in the Perfion Content Store. I'm Stephan Spijkers. I'm co-founder of PIMvendors.com. And if you see me around on LinkedIn, you'll know that we help customers with their product data challenges. From MDM all the way up to AI enrichment, we help our customers that are stuck with inefficient processes, tools that are not working for them or for their business, and helping them through that whole journey of getting to a smooth and efficient product data process. If you want more information on what we do, be sure to check out PIMvendors.com, as you'll find much more information about product information management there as well. From our free tools like Do I Need a PIM and the PIM cost calculator, all the way to our free knowledge base articles and recaps of all the 30 webinars we did this year, but that's not now. Now you should stick around for this webinar. Obviously, some housekeeping before we get to the actual event. There's a comment section on your right hand side, and I really invite you to ask questions or give feedback to both of our speakers here today. Make use of that space and of their attention today. We'll try to weave those questions into either the live demo or the Q&A afterwards. So we'll take questions anytime, and even if we cannot answer them right away, we'll be sure to revisit them offline and reach out to you with an answer. Now, that is one thing. Also, if you have to leave us earlier than expected, or maybe you're joining us late, in which case you'll be hearing this message, but still, we will be recording this session and sharing it with everyone as well. So if you have to go and open the door or pick up groceries or pick up your kids, no worries. There will be recording made available, and we'll be sharing that with everyone that is signed up. And without further ado, I want to turn to the main event, which is the lightning demo by Perfion. Maybe, Dymar, would you quickly introduce yourself and take it from there?
Yes, of course. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to I think it's the third webinar we're doing with you guys, with PIM Vendors. I'm Dymar Schimmel. I'm the sales director for Perfion for the Benelux, which means I'm responsible for all commercial activities of Perfion in my area. I'm doing this now for 4 years, which with a lot of happiness and excitement. And every day I'm working on the product information management challenges of our customers. And today I'm joined by Jesper. Could you introduce yourself, Jesper?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Dymar, and thanks, Stephan. My name is Jesper Gill. I work out of Denmark for Boehm IT, specialized in the Perfion PIM solution. I work as a global solution advisor, doing a lot of pre-sales and webinars and trying to convince the world that Perfion PIM, and as you will see today, the Content Store is the way to go when it comes to PIM and digital asset management tasks. Thanks a lot for inviting us, and I'll step in a few minutes and be giving the live demo.
All right. Thank you, Jesper. I'm going to share my screen with you guys. See? Can you see it? Oh, very good. So welcome. We're going to talk about the Perfion Content Store. Here's a little agenda for this webinar. So we started off with a welcome and introductions. We'll do a quick recap for those of you who didn't see our last webinar with PIM vendors. So what is Perfion PIM? We'll talk about the challenge from managing data to delivering content. We'll talk about what the Content Store is, the value it brings. We'll have a live demo, and then there's the Q&A session. Some of the questions you guys will type in, we can answer during the presentation. If you feel like it's a question we should answer later in the presentation, I'll let you know. This one we can speak. So today's speakers is me and Jesper, as we just talked about. So now we ended up with, what is Perfion for those who don't know? Well, Perfion is a proven PIM solution. We have been on the market for more than 25 years. We are a best of breed solution, which means is we focus on delivering product information management solution and digital asset management to our clients. We've been part of Boehm IT since 2023. Boehm IT is an international ISV who focuses on making solutions for supply chain management, wholesalers, and manufacturers with a ERP focus. We are a single source of truth, which means there's one place to centralize all your product information. Make sure it's always up to date, accurate, and consistent across every channel you need. We are a low-code, no-code platform, which means we're configurable without too much programming, which means you can manage really complex data structures without having too much of an IT dependency. What we're really proud of is we are one of the fastest implementations on the market, so we can go live in weeks and not in months. This is a thing you can ask our customers if you don't believe me. And we are built for complexity. So even if you have a really complex data model, I'm sure that Perfion can help you out with your PIM needs. So the challenge of the day was managing product data, but also delivering the product content. So the challenge is PIM software programs are usually made to structure and store data. Problem is, not everybody has access to this data or can use it easily. And if you look at marketing teams, maybe you have a dealership channel or you have e-commerce teams, they usually need ready-to-use product content. It has to be the latest version and it has to be one click away from usage. Without any content portal, what happens is you need to make a manual export, file sharing. This can result in having inconsistent updates because you sent the latest version, but maybe tomorrow there's a new version of your product information. You need to do something manual, so it can cause delays and errors. So what did we come up with to help with this challenge? Introducing the Content Store. Here you can see a IT structure of a Perfion instance. So we have the ERP system, we have the Perfion, we have your e-commerce shops, your print publishing, and your data pools. And on top, you can see 3 different content stores. What is a content store? The thing we're going to talk about today. Content store is a self-serve portal where Perfion clients can expose their selected product information or their digital assets to download and to be used by external or internal parties. So if you're going to use it internally, you're going to empower your team. So you make life easier for your sales and support teams. You give them direct access to your up-to-date product information without needing to navigate Perfion. A case could be that your salesperson is live at they visited their biggest customer and they need to give this customer some content. And you don't even need to navigate through the whole Perfion to help. We also have the external content store, which is you boost your B2B partnerships. Think about dealer channels. This way you can provide your business partners with the latest product data or assets so they can effectively market and sell the products themselves. And we have the public asset portal. So you create a visual experience for your B2C experience. So you offer an engaging portal where your agencies, PR firms, or consumers can download high quality images, videos, and other digital assets to showcase the products. I think this is the most important thing. So what kind of value does a content store bring? On one hand, we have faster distribution. So you make content instantly available through this content store. You have a controlled access, so you have a secure way of sharing your content with your partners and with teams. And also there's a lot of self-service because your dealers and your marketing teams have instant access to all your product information needs and assets. So there's no waiting, there's no barrier, everything is instant. So who benefits from this? Well, if you're a manufacturer and you're having a content store, that means your product data, your images, and your marketing materials are instantly available to your dealer channel and to partners without any manual requests or waiting for files, which means your products can reach the market faster. If you are one of those dealers or you're a wholesaler, is that as a dealer, you get the confidence of always having the most recent specs, most recent images, and marketing assets at your fingertips. And if you're a marketing team, you have quick access to creative-ready content. I think there was enough talking from my side. I want to switch to Jesper, who's going to take you through the demo.
Thank you very much, Dymar. Let me just start by sharing my screen and see if we can get that to work. There we go. See if we can make it. So, can you see my screen now?
Yes. Could quickly click on the hide button next to the stop sharing. Awesome.
That one. Okay, so good. The content store, the Perfion Content Store, that's what it's all about today. I have just loaded the content store here. But before we go into actually looking at the content store, As you could understand from Dymar's introduction, the Content Store is really a channel that is an add-on to Perfion. So the management of data and digital assets all happens inside Perfion. So to understand what happens in the Content Store, we really need to start our attention and looking at how the Perfion PIM works, and to understand how do you actually generate and create content inside the PIM that you then expose in the Content Store. And when we have done that, we can then see what can we then, as a consumer of that data in the Content Store, what can we do in terms of downloading that data. I'm going to have to take you through first a tour of Perfion. And what I'm going to do is just give you a very brief general introduction to the client itself. Then I'm going to take you on a short journey where we're going to onboard some new products, just to sort of mimic an everyday experience that the PIM Perfion users have. New products are onboarded, maybe created in their ERP system, then they appear and onboarded in the PIM. That's where the enrichment happens. And in the end, we want to expose that and put that content that we created into our Content Store. So that's going to be very product focused. And at the end, I'm also going to show you that content in the Content Store does not have to be product focused. It can also be sort of independent assets. It could be your public relation announcements. It could be sort of corporate images, things that are not really product related. That can also go into the Content Store. And how is that? One basic fact about Perfion that you need to understand from the beginning is that it's not only a product information management system. Up here in my items section, I have a list of all the entities, you could call it. It's a technical term, but basically all the types of data that you can manage in Perfion. And these are just examples. You can set up and manage anything that makes sense. And in the end, you can also expose anything that makes sense in the Content Store. I'm going to come back to that. But I have products. I could maybe have promotional items. I could have packaging information, customers, suppliers. And of course, I can have images and files. And products and images and files are what we're going to focus on today, because I'm going to show you how you can actually, from all these three entities, you can expose that data and these assets into the Content Store. So I started by actually loading the products here, but I'm just going to take a quick detour into the image section here, because if I go into my images here, you can see that in this scenario and in this use case, Perfion is really more of a digital asset management system. So here I have all the images that I have uploaded into my image library, you could call it. And we can see all these nice images here. And of course, all of these nice images also have data. So if I do something like this and I click an image here, I can see that I can manage all the data and all the technical data of that image also in Perfion. So from Perfion's point of view, an image is really also just an item, and an item can have data that describes that particular item. So in this case, the item is an image, and when we go to products, of course, the item is a product or a variant, and these will have the data. So here are my images that I can expose in my Content Store, and we just take a quick look at files. It's a bit more boring to look at files, but if you look at, I have some catalogs in here. I have a lot of data sheets for all my different products that I can expose. So these would be PDF files that are linked to a certain product, but also files that I can expose in my Content Store. So this capability of Perfion to work with entities of all different types meant that when we started designing the Content Store, we didn't really want to make it a digital asset management portal. We wanted to make it really a Content Store where you can expose anything that makes sense for you. So let's go to products again. I'm going to go into here. Let's look at, for instance, my coffee products. So these are very simple products. So here in my coffee section, I have 4 types of coffee that I could sell in my channels. I'm here in a card view that's just a nice overview of products. When I'm browsing through my different categories, I can see just a very brief introduction of each product. Now, again, if I wanted to work with the data for either of these products, I could also load the item details here, click one of these products, and then just like we saw with the image, I'll now have access to all the data that belongs to this particular product. And of course, it's grouped, and then we can see the marketing data, and we can see channel-specific data that for Amazon, I have a specific title and a specific category and some SEO keywords and whatever. So all of this is just data that belongs to this particular product. Now, that's a very common way of working with product data. You find one product, you load all the product related to that item, and you then make the changes or updates that you need. Perfion is really built for large-scale product data management or data management altogether. And that means that a lot of our clients really don't have time to go through the products one by one. They need a more efficient way of managing data. And for that, in Perfion, we use the grid. So instead of looking at cards, I can now switch to the grid. And that means that Perfion becomes more Excel-like. Some people like this. Some people think it looks old school and so on. The fact is, it's really, really efficient. So each row still represents an item, in this case, a product. But I can now, just like in Excel, I can navigate and make any changes. Just type in the value and store that. Also, like in Excel, I can update data, multi-update. So if I wanted to change the length for all of these products in one go, let's say it's all 13, then I just select all the cells, type in 13, and multi-update all of these products. Of course, any change that I made is saved in the background, so I can always go back to the log and restore any value that was there. There's a complete log of all changes made to any item. So this is kind of working in bulk is really how my entire presentation today is going to work, because that is the reality of almost all our clients, is that this is the way they work. They don't use the item card and update one product at a time. They use the grid and they use it for efficient bulk management. Now you can see that in this instance here, I'm only seeing a very small subset of attributes that is controlled by the views up here. I can load any view here that say, okay, now I would like to focus on marketing data instead. So I can load the marketing view, and then I get the description and the lifestyle images and completeness scores and so on. So that's controlled by the view. And the last thing I just wanted to say as an introduction here is that these items here are what we call kind of products without variants. This is just a product. It comes only in this version. So this item itself is a one-off. It's both a product and a SKU. But if we look at products that have variants and how we manage that in Perfion, well, it looks something like this. If I go to my coffee makers here, you can see now that I have a folder here, and I can expand that folder. And now I can see that this is actually what we, from an internal perspective, consider a product, while these are the variants that we actually sell. So in this case, these are the SKUs, and this is a virtual product that we can use for grouping purposes and sharing data. And when we push this product into our Shopify shop or whatever, we can use this product variant structure to group and present our products nicely. And the inheritance concept is something that we also use a lot. So if the subheader is identical for all of these variants, I'm just going to type it in up here, and it's automatically inherited down to all of these variants. Working with this in grid means that you can always see all the data, and you get the full picture of data for a variant, and it's very easy to go a step up and make the change if you think that's wrong. But of course, then the change will affect all the other variants as well. So that's very briefly how it works. The second thing I want to introduce you to is our dashboards. Dashboards is a thing that you know from a lot of applications, and it gives you an overview of things that you need to monitor inside your system. In this case, quickly using this dimensions incomplete widget down here, because it will show you how these dashboards work. In this case, I can see that in my accessories category, there are 3 items that have some incomplete dimensions. And there's also one coffee maker with some incomplete dimensions. And to solve that, well, I simply, of course, click one of these bars, and 2 things then happen in Perfion. One is, of course, it loads the 3 items that are represented by this bar over here, but it also loads a view that matches the context over here. So I have dimensions incomplete. Then, of course, I see weight, length, width, height, and dimensions, because that's what I need to focus on. And it's very easy for me to see that there's something that someone forgot to type in a width. So I'll just multi-update these 3, and I can click my coffee maker here, and I can see that, oh, that's the height missing. So that make sure to update that as well. And when I go back to my dashboard, all done, I'm good. And that way it will give me security and data quality and completeness. I know now that all my items in Perfion have the dimensions that they need. So that's the dashboard principle. And then I'm going to go to the process dashboard. And the process dashboard here is what a lot of our clients use when they, in their daily work, when they onboard new products, make sure they're enriched and make sure they're published into their channels. So the first flow up here is about enrichment. And that means I have to make sure that the master data, the specifications, and the marketing, and the translations, all of the stuff that I need to manage on my product, that has to be completed before I can start pushing these products into my channels. That could be Shopify, Amazon, print, and a lot of other different channels. And the principle for how to work with this is the same. Master data, I click this, I can see that it says 6 out here, but then you say, why do I only get 3 rows? Well, that's because this one here is a product with variants. So all in all, I have 6 items, but I only have 5 SKUs, and that's the 3 variants here, and these 2 products that don't have any variants. That's a detail, but all in all, you can see that I have a lot of master data here. I have a supplier and a category, and I can see a price from my BC and a lot of stuff. I can even have complex data like packaging data on my products. So here you can see that for this particular cup, the primary packaging consists of a box and a plastic bag, and the box weighs 85 grams and 8 grams here. And this is very good for if you are challenged with reporting packaging data to governments and EU and all those rules and regulations that we have to comply with. So simple data and complex data all comprised into one. And really only thing I want to show you here is apparently I didn't get my images in to start with. And automation is, of course, your friend when you talk about product information management. And one way that we use automation in Perfion in bulk is that we have the option to build these actions down here. You can see it says execute action on product. And in here, I have a list of actions that can do stuff for me, so I don't have to do things manually. And in this case, I want to import product images from a hot folder. So I choose this one. I run it on my selected items in grid, which would be these 5, and then I say execute. And then there is this low code in the background that will now check my hot folder and see if there are any images corresponding to what I have here. And when I refresh my grid, I can see that I did actually get some images from my hot folder, which is good because these images are essential when I want to expose my stuff into my content store. So all good here. I can see my master data is now complete. It's at 100%. So as the responsible guy for marketing, for master data, I'm just going to approve these products, and I can go on and check my dashboard again, and this went to 0. And this way I can work my way through. So I need to check my specifications for the cups. In this case, for cups, I need to say a diameter, some volume, and brand, and a color, and it's all there, except I need still a material. So I might add that this is a ceramic cup. So I'm just going to add that at the top level, and it will inherit to the other items. So all good. I can just approve these cups from a specification point of view. And I click my coffee machines, and Perfion now loads the attributes that are relevant for a coffee machine. So in this case, the water tank capacity, and the cable length, and the power, and so on. So we have these individual data models for each different category of products. I can see here that I actually got all the data I need. So I just need to approve these and say that's fine. All the specifications are good. I can move on to marketing. And I decided to include this because I wanted to show you also, of course, AI is a big thing. When we talk PIM, it's a big thing when you talk anything in this world these days. And again, we want to make sure that AI is not something where we have to revert back to working one item at a time. We can do that. If we want AI to write a description for this particular product, we can use Create with AI. And then we have this dialog here where I can load a template and say, okay, I'm going to use my coffee machine template for my prompt. So I saved this because the reality is prompts are not easy to build. You just don't sit down and write 2 lines of code and text, and then you get a very nice description. You have to be very specific on what you want and what features do you want to go into this, and should it be rich text and so on. So I got this one here, and I'm really happy about that one. And then I can, of course, click generate. This prompt is then sent to the AI engine in the background. In this case, we're using ChatGPT. it returns this very nicely HTML tagged text here and with experience, and I can save and close that. And then this text is now what I have as a description on this particular product. Now I could go ahead and repeat that for each product in my group here, but working as bulk is what we really want to do in Perfion. So I could also build an action that allows me to write descriptions for all of these products in one go. So in this case, I'm going to go to action on product. I'm going to pick my description here, generate description using ChatGPT. And this code in the background will now make a kind of a loop towards ChatGPT and update and send a prompt for each of these products. And simply, whenever they are returned from ChatGPT, insert them for the relevant product. So I'm going to get a cup-specific description here, and I'm going to get a coffee machine description in these other fields. Let's refresh and see. Yeah, we already got some of them here. I got my fossil milk, blah, 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 0.35 liters and whatever. And down here, I have another 1200 watt motor and so on and so forth. So working in bulk is also really, really important when we start introducing AI. And that's what we will always strive to make as efficient as possible in Perfion. So my marketing data is good. I'm getting close now to the content store, so bear with me just a few more minutes. But the last thing I need to do is also, of course, translate my new text. So I click my translation widget here. I now have the description for these 3 products that I have worked with. And in this case, I want to translate it, and let's just do it maybe in German and in Dutch. So I'm going to add German and Dutch to my grid here. So now I have 2 extra columns. And now I can just, again, in bulk, ask Perfion to generate translations for these 3 products in German. And it's actually not Perfion that generates these translations. We have a background integration with DeepL and Google Translate, and it's up to you to choose. Yeah, that's of course always interesting when you work in a demo environment. Used to work.
That's live demos, Jesper. That happens. Maybe
that
a quick
happens
question.
Also in the real world. I'm sorry about that. I don't know why this choose to fail me right now. But normally we'll bring in the German and the Dutch translations here, and you can proofread them, and in the end you can accept them and say translations are good. I'm happy with that.
Maybe a quick question, Jesper, on
Yes?
translations, if I may. So we see some customers that prefer a DeepL integration or a Google Translate, or you can choose which translation provider maybe. Is it also possible to use an LLM to build up the product description from scratch again in another language?
Yes, absolutely. The engine that I use to generate the description, in this case, I've specified that I want them in English. And I could just as easy change my prompt and say, bring it back in German, and then insert it in the German column instead. So absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So I got my 6 items here in fully enriched, and that means they now pop up down here in my publish row. So now I'm free to start publishing these into Shopify, Amazon, and print. And I'm going to skip Shopify and Amazon for today because they're not really relevant for the content store. But this is, of course, your opportunity to control the publication of these products into your e-commerce shop. You can control how this data is sent to Amazon in CSV and with attached images and all of that. So these are channel-specific widgets. I'm going to just take a deep dive into the print one here, because one thing we would like to have is a data sheet for each of our SKUs. So I have here my 3 variants, and I have my 2 coffee machines here. And I would like all of these to have a data sheet. I'm not building a data sheet up here at the virtual level. I could also do that. But in this case, I've chosen to build the data sheet for each and every SKU that I sell. So really what I need to do here is start by selecting a template, because Perfion has a built-in report generator. And this generator is built on simply selecting a template, which is built with that tool. I'm not going to show you that today. But it's a tool that's embedded in Perfion where you can build your templates and test them and see if they work nicely with all your products. So I'm going to pick the SKU data sheet here, 1 page, click OK. And then I have now instructed Perfion that for each of these 5 items, it should use this particular template. And that means that when I refresh the grid here again, Perfion will now say, okay, that means that I can now generate this data sheet for you. So here is a link when you want to generate it. It's actually not generated yet. It's just a link to the actual engine that will generate it. So we can try and click this one, and it will load for 10, 20 seconds in the background. So let's just let that run here for a while. Because the last thing we can also do is generate bigger catalogs. And a catalog is really what you would expect from a catalog. It's a printed one. You can sit and you can browse through the different pages, and you can see your products nicely represented in that big catalog. Let's just see, here was the data sheet actually done with the images and the description, AI generated with a nice little table with all the attributes and so on. So this is completely generated out of Perfion with our report tool. Let's go back to the catalog, because I want to use that as well when I go to my content store in just a few seconds. I can just put this one to the side here so I get a little more space. And now I'm going to choose my publish work mode here. My publish work mode is one that kind of splits the screen into my product section here, or my item section on the left. And on the right-hand side, I have my channels. So up here, I have all the channels that I would like to push data and products into. So if I choose my catalog here, I can see that this catalog here now has a certain structure. There's a front page, an index, and an introduction. And then there are different product sections. And by clicking these sections, I can see what products are actually already in my catalog structure as we speak. All I need to do now is say these 3 cups, I would like to add these to cups and jugs. And when I then click cups and jugs, you can see that they were added here. I want my 2 coffee makers here, but I'm actually going to be very specific that these should not just go at the end. These should go at the first one, so I can even sort them right here. When I have my printed catalog, I'm sure that these come out on the right pages on top of that section. So I now have the structure, and that means that I can say, yeah, let's go ahead and see, let's try to generate a new catalog. So here we go. Let's call it our Content Store demo catalog 2. And it's 2 because I created one this morning when I just tested it, and hopefully it still works. This is now going to run in the background as well. It runs on our job list here. It takes about 30, 45 seconds for this catalog to complete. And while we wait for that, let's just actually pretend that it works and say I'm happy, and I can let's put this one aside here. In my print dashboard here, I can now go ahead and approve and say I have done everything I needed to do in terms of print, which means that this one here will also complete. I'm just going to leave these 2 out because they can sit there for another day when I decide to come back and make sure that these products go into Shopify and Amazon. For now, I have done everything I needed to do to turn our attention to the content store. But before I do that, I just want to make sure that we actually get the catalog that we need. This is always where you have to, backswim a little bit and talk about the weather and hope that this will complete in a few seconds. And let's count down from 5 and see if it actually happens. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Of course, it takes a little longer today, but bear with me.
Let's blame ChatGPT, Jesper, in this case. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to leave it here because we can still see that it's running, and we can see it when it's done. But there it was. So now I can see my catalog. Here it is, my catalog 2. I have my spring 2026 catalog. It has an index here with the products I added to the catalog. First, I have a section with my coffee makers. Here are the 2 coffee machines that I added during my process here, nicely added to my catalog. I scroll down and I have a different layout for my coffee machine or coffee makers here. And finally down here, I have my cups and jugs, and I have a third layout where I focus on product variants and so on. So you can combine a lot of designs and combine all of that into a basically print-ready catalog. So that was good. I got that working. But now let's look at the content store, because we now have some new products. We created some new products. We added some new images, and we also added some data sheets. And I can now choose a dashboard that focuses on the content store. And I can see that I have 5 products ready for Contentstore, I have 5 images ready for Contentstore, and I have 5 files ready for Contentstore. And that's good. That's exactly what I wanted. And now for each of these, I can make decisions on how do I want to push this into my Contentstore. Here are my 5 products. This is the image describing the product, but it's actually the product that is the base entity itself. And all I really need to do for a product is to say, what category in my Contentstore would I like this to go into? So I can open this one here, and I can open products, and I can say these should go into coffee and tea. That's fine. And that's basically all I need to do. And then I can go ahead and say, that's fine. You can publish these products into my Contentstore. And I can do the same with the images. In this case, now it's the image that's the base entity. So we see these images here as cards, but I can also switch to the grid here and see my images here in a grid. And here I can have I have some more options here that I chose to add. It might be that I want automatically to remove these images at a certain date. That doesn't make sense for me now, so I'm just going to keep them. I can specify an asset type. In this case, I would say that these are maybe product cutouts. And then again, I need to just say what category in my Contentstore should these goes into. And I'm going to pick my image here, and these are going to go into coffee and tea. So again, I'm tagging my images to make sure that they are published exactly as I want them to into my Contentstore. And the last one we had were the 5 data sheets. So now we are looking at some PDF files. We can still see what product they belong to. And again, I just have to do some enrichment here. Tell the system that these are actually files, data sheets. Boom, there we go. Maybe these would be relevant to say, I need to revisit my data sheets once every year or every 6 months. So I'm going to put an expiry date on these and say this should be, let's just say it's the end of this year. So I'm instructing the system to tell me on a dashboard when these PDFs near the end of their life and needs a review. So that's, of course, something you can also work with. And then let's just put them in a Contentstore category, this time in files and data sheets. And there we go. And I'm now ready to also publish these into my Contentstore. So I now have products, images, and files all related to the same product. So let's remember this product code here, S990. Let's go to our Contentstore here. And here you can see that what it's all about. We have products, we have images, and we have files. And it's all in the same Contentstore. So if I click my data sheets down here in my Contentstore, you can see that this is where I've published all my data sheets, and they all have the same structure, so they look kind of alike, but I guess you can still see that they are for different products. I could also have my images, and these could, of course, be all my product cutouts that I have here. It could also be logos, for instance, and other things that the lifestyle images and anything that you would want to publish in your store. And then you have your products up here, which again are groupings in coffee and tea. This is now a product entity. If you click one here, what you will see here is all the data that you choose to expose for that particular product. So let's remember the SES990 and try to search for that and say we didn't find anything. No, that's true because we haven't run our synchronization to our Contentstore yet. Normally, this will just sit in the background and run maybe once every hour or once every night, or depending on the volume and size of your products and how often you onboard new products and assets. But now it ran. I can put this away again, and let's see if we can make this search again and see if we have. Or maybe we should just type it in again. Do like this, and of course nothing happened. Maybe it just takes a little while for the search engine to update. Yep. There we go. Now the Contentstore was updated. I have the images that the products, I have the images, and I even have the data sheets. So normally maybe you wouldn't have a Contentstore where you mix both products, images, and files. But I just wanted to do that to show you what is possible. You may actually want to, as Dymar said in his opening, create an asset portal for the public. And that would not have the products. That would have only the images and maybe the data sheets. Or you would have a product-focused Contentstore, which you would offer to your B2B customers and those who actually need to download more than just images and files. They actually need also to download the product data. Because what is it that you now as a customer can do? Well, if I want everything about these two Sage products that I just built, I can just now select all, then everything here is tagged. And in my selection up here, I now have these 6 items, 2 products, 2 images, 2 data sheets. And when I now click download, I can now, as a consumer of this data, say, what languages would I like this data to come in? In this case, I have only loaded English, but you can have a multi-language content store, meaning that when you download product data, you would not only get it in English, you would also get it in French and German and Dutch and whatever you choose to expose. How would you like your images, or how would I like the images? Original file size of type or JPEG, PNG, we can convert them all into a specific format. Let's say we want them all in PNG. And what about image size? Do I want the original large images or do I want just smaller, medium, or large images? Let's just, in this case, stick to original. So when I've made my choices here as a consumer of this data, I can click download and it's now preparing my download. Because I only have 6 items, it's fairly quick, so I don't have to wait. But if I chose and added 1,000 items to my basket or my selection, I could just type in my email address and then I would receive an email when the zip file was done and I could download it from there. But for now, I can simply click download here. And as a consumer, what I'm going to get is a zip file. And when we open that, it contains this Excel sheet, which has information about sort of the data belonging to the products. I had 2 products here, and I have width, length, and water tank, and all the data that made sense. The images, there are also some data belonging to the images here, and also the files. They had some metadata and some information related to them. So all of the hardcore boring stuff is in this Excel sheet, which means that the consumers of this data can use that to import it into their own systems. Of course, I will have the files. So here are the data sheets that I downloaded. I'm not sure why I got it in 2 different versions here, and then here I have the images, and apparently these also appeared in 2 different versions. But I have each and every image here that I chose to. Oh, that was because that was the wrong one. This one here. So here is the image of the product. It's really easy for me as a consumer and a user of the content store to find what I need, add it to the selection, and then download it, and it's ready for me to use. And that really is the simplicity and the ease of use of the front end. Nobody should care much about anything except browsing for what they need, add it to the selection, and download it. That's basically what the content store from a consumer point of view is all about. And the last thing I just wanted to show you, because I said in the opening that everything we've done up until now has been very product focused, but it doesn't have to be. The catalog that I just generated before, it is kind of product focused, but it's not related to one specific product. So take that as an example of which could also be a press release or anything that you would want to add to the content store. And how would you do that? Well, in this case, I would go to my file section. I would click my catalog here, and I can see that I have 2 catalogs in the system already. All I would need to do is find that catalog that I just generated before, drag drop it into my web client here, and that means that it's now added to my catalog file category inside my Perfion system here, PIM system. When I refresh here, I can see that the system recognizes that it's a PDF. That's good. And I can now do the enrichment that is needed for the content store. In this case, I'm just going to say, yeah, the asset type is a catalog. That's fine. There's no expiry date. I want to put it in the catalog section as well. So choose that one. And I'm good to go. I can just approve it for the content store. And the next time I then go ahead and run this synchronization, or it runs automatically in the background, it will take this catalog and push it into the content store. So if we wait a few seconds, there we go. we go to our coffee world here, we go to our files, and we go to our catalogs. We can now see that I have my spring 2026 catalog here, and it's ready for download for anyone who would want it.
Quick question, Jesper. I might have missed it, but you now approved the publishing yourselves. Can you manage that approval right based on different roles or different settings that maybe the photographer or the designer doesn't have the right to publish to the
Absolutely. There is a very comprehensive user rights management system in Perfion. It can come all the way down to a specific feature, and it can even come down to a feature in context of a specific item. But the most general use is, of course, that this feature you would limit to the editing right to that to a certain group of people. Anyone else could maybe have a view right, so they can see whether it's published or not. But the ones that can actually click this will be limited to a group of people or a specific individual. And that goes for any attribute in the Perfion system. So absolutely.
Thanks. Sorry.
Good. So that was a lot of talking. I hope that gave an idea about Perfion as a foundation for the Content Store, and also the Content Store as an easy to use tool for anyone who needs access to product data and assets. Good. Any
Thanks,
questions?
Olthuis.
How do I stop sharing? I hit that one before.
Yeah, it is in the stop next to the leave button. Don't click on the red button. No, thanks a lot, Jesper, for sharing that. A very comprehensive demo, and I think it's interesting to see how the scope of PIM tools actually sort of expanding also into the, well, as we say, the facilitation of the publication part, right? And being the interface for publication, not just feeding the portal or feeding the CMS or the e-com store or whatever, but actually providing that interface yourselves. I think it's very interesting to see that, especially for, I would say, the target audience for this, which they might not have a headless CMS ready available. They're just looking for that tool that does most of their jobs. And it seems that Perfion is positioning itself to be that single tool.
Yeah, we have most of our customers who have adopted the Content Store is actually using it in parallel to, of course, existing e-commerce solutions. And the one thing I didn't show you today is that you can also hide your Content Store behind the login. So you can have users and groups, meaning that your business partners, your customers, they'll have access to maybe sensitive data that you don't want to share with the rest of the world. And you can create a Content Store specifically for these guys, and they can log in and download the data that they need. And that could be, pricing and stock and a lot of things that they would need to update their.
Yeah, that's super interesting. We have a few minutes left. So if there's anyone in the webinar that has some questions for Jesper or for Dymar, then please drop them into the chat on the right-hand side. I'm wondering, like you said, do you see customers using this next to other existing systems, or specifically looking at, I would say the target audience would be manufacturers or wholesalers, but do you also see retailers using the Content Store?
I think you're right that absolute main target group are manufacturers and wholesalers, distributors. I'm not sure what we have in terms of retail customers, but it's definitely picking up and resonating well with the manufacturers and the wholesalers.
Yeah. Well, I can actually imagine that if you need to build a lot of technical sheets, then you could use I would call it the print functionality. I'm not sure how it is called internally, but that digital print PDF creator you could use for technical data sheets, not just for catalogs.
Yes.
And that will make it relevant for retailers as well, but they would offer it in the actual store, not in a separate Content Store, I imagine. I see no questions coming from the audience. Might then want to wrap up here, but before we do that, Dymar, if people want to know more about Perfion or want to reach out to you, how could they best find you?
I think two ways are quite easy. So one of them is LinkedIn. I think my LinkedIn is posted on the PIM Vendors event. Other one is reach out to my email, which I think we can share beneath the post. I think that's the easiest way. Of course, call me up and let's have a chat.
All right. Thanks a lot. Well then, guys, I would like to thank you for showing this very comprehensive demo with the end-to-end functionality of the Content Store. I want to thank the audience for joining us today. So if you have any further questions, well, you know where to find Dymar now, and you have his contact details. We'll also be sharing the full recording with you guys. So if you missed a bit or you want to review any of the features that Jesper showed in I would say, very clean and very efficient, but maybe a bit too fast, so you want to review some things and see how they look or stack up to your current solution, you can use that recording. And if you have any questions regarding Perfion, definitely reach out to Jesper and Dymar. So again, Dymar and Jesper, thanks for your time today and showing this very quick overview. And for the audience, thanks a lot for joining us today as well. And speak to you guys soon. See you guys soon as we have a full planning and calendar of webinars coming up. So see you in a new one.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stephan.
Bye.
Bye.